In the 21st century, climate sits firmly at the center of public conversation. There is no shortage of data, research, and analysis for those trying to make sense of what lies ahead. Yet looking backward, revisiting past eras of remarkable or unusual atmospheric conditions can be just as revealing. So what is it really like to live in an ice age? Despite being widely accepted today, the idea of ice ages was not always embraced by the scientific community. Before the 19th century, one of the more common explanations for the disappearance of ancient creatures and landscapes was a catastrophic flood. We now know otherwise. From the mid-1800s onward, science began piecing together Earth's true history through groundbreaking studies of rocks and minerals, materials found to have been deposited by glaciers in the distant past. Even today, the precise mechanisms that trigger these global winters remain incompletely understood. Broadly, two major forces come into play: Earth's orbital behavior and plate tectonics. The planet's position in space, the tilt of its axis, and the subtle wobbles it undergoes as it travels through the cosmos all influence whether seasons grow warmer or, in this case, progressively colder. Under the right conditions, even minor shifts in these variables can allow ice to accumulate on a massive scale. At the heart of this process are the Milankovitch Cycles, named after Serbian astrophysicist Milutin Milankovitch, who established the connection between orbital variations and climate in the early 20th century. Layered on top of this is the slow but relentless movement of tectonic plates, which reshapes ocean currents and disrupts atmospheric equilibrium, ultimately creating the conditions in which an ice age can take hold. An ice age consists of two alternating phases: glacial periods and interglacial periods. You may have heard that we are technically living in an ice age right now, and that is accurate. We currently occupy an interglacial phase of the epoch known as the Pleistocene Ice Age. During interglacial periods, temperatures rise considerably, yet the presence of vast ice sheets over Antarctica and Greenland confirms that we have not fully exited the Ice Age. These sheets are remnants of the last glacial period, and under ordinary circumstances, we would expect them to expand again in the future. However, human-induced climate change has complicated this picture significantly. Many researchers now worry that the natural cycle of ice ages may be permanently disrupted, with the next glacial period potentially delayed by thousands of years. 5 major ice ages have occurred throughout Earth's history. The earliest dates back roughly 2.4 billion years, while the most recent began approximately 2.6 million years ago. Scattered between these large-scale events are numerous smaller glacial episodes, and records suggest that dozens have occurred within just the last million years. The most recent ice age reached its peak around 20,000 years ago. The glacial phase takes its name from the enormous ice sheets and glaciers that formed during it. During the last glacial period, which came to a close around 12,000 years ago, vast stretches of North America, Canada, and much of Northern Europe lay buried beneath ice. These sheets did not merely cover the equivalent of entire modern nations. In places, they reached depths of more than 2 miles. This means that a significant portion of the planet would effectively be off-limits during a glacial period, with regions closer to the equator offering far more hospitable conditions. The amount of livable land shrinks dramatically. For the early humans who survived the last glacial period, this was a manageable challenge. For today's far larger global population, it would be a crisis of an entirely different magnitude. Because glacial ice draws water from the oceans, sea levels fall considerably during these periods, in some areas dropping by hundreds of feet during the last ice age. This exposes land that had previously been submerged for millennia, giving rise to new mountain formations and land bridges connecting land masses that were previously separated by open water. The degree of cold varies from one ice age to the next, but on average, global temperatures fall by roughly 5 to 6 degrees Celsius, a shift that, on a planetary scale, is enormous. The most extreme ice age in Earth's known history is the Cryogenian period, during which conditions grew so severe that ice is believed to have encased the entire planet, a scenario scientists call Snowball Earth. Fortunately, humans had not yet appeared at that point, as survival for nearly any complex organism would have been virtually impossible. The cold temperatures of a glacial period would severely restrict farming and agriculture, two pillars of modern civilization. Many of the plant and animal species we depend on today could not withstand such conditions, and the accompanying dryness, which produces polar desert environments, would compound the challenge further. Life during a glacial period would demand a different and considerably more limited diet. In the past, meat came primarily from large animals capable of enduring the cold, such as bison, with their thick hides also serving as valuable material for clothing and shelter. With modern tools and weapons, hunting even the largest animals would be relatively straightforward. Past hunters, however, lacked such advantages and frequently engaged prey at close range. Regardless of the risk involved, housing in an ice age would present challenges vastly different from those we face today. Shelter needed to be as protected from the elements as possible, which sometimes meant taking refuge in caves. Evidence also suggests that Ice Age humans constructed tent-like dwellings, often using animal hides, with large fires burning at their center. The portability of these structures was a key advantage. Migration tended to avoid the most heavily glaciated regions and was carried out in large, coordinated groups. This pattern of constant movement and collective living is thought to have played a major role in early human survival. Life in an ice age demanded a high degree of discipline and coordination. Hunts yielded better results when carefully planned in advance. Straying too far from the group was rarely wise. Adequate clothing and sleeping arrangements were not luxuries, but necessities. Frostbite was an ever-present threat. The majority of daily life revolved around hunting, foraging, and migrating in search of food or more favorable climates. Yet there was room for more reflective pursuits as well, including cave painting and oral storytelling, suggesting that even under such conditions, human creativity found a way to endure. Should the most severe glacial conditions descend on Earth without warning tomorrow, modern technology would undoubtedly ease the burden in many respects. Yet there would be no shortage of difficulties. Our ancient ancestors possessed practical knowledge that many of us have long since lost. How to start a fire without tools, craft instruments from raw materials, track and hunt animals, move with the seasons, and carry their homes on their backs. In a sudden glacial scenario, a great many people would likely perish, and life expectancy, which has climbed steadily in recent centuries, would fall back sharply. It is worth remembering, however, that technically speaking, we are already in the middle of an ice age. It simply is not in full effect at present. The interglacial period continues, and how our climate will unfold in the years ahead remains to be seen. But that, in its entirety, is what it is really like to live in an ice age.